Math is great, math is okay. You will need in life every day. From pandas to functions to fractions.
Alright, let's go over this. On the left side here, I have 1 to the power of 3. The exponent tells me how many times to write the base by multiplication. So I'm going to write out 3 of those. Class 1 times 1 times 1 equals 1. This expression here tells me to write out how many 2's? Remember, they are by multiplication. Common mistake is to think that's 2 times 3 is 6. Well, class, what is 2 times 2?
4.
4 times 2 is 8. 2 to the third power is 8. If we cube this, 3 to the third power, I write it out 3 times, that equals 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. 4 to the third power, how much is that one? Show you guys really quickly on your calculators. So you here have y to the x power. Remember, this is the square button and the square root, so these are opposites. And right here on your calculator, these two are opposites. So I can do 4 y to the x 3 equals 64. Okay, that's the same thing as saying 4 times 4, I did it twice, times the third 4 equals 64. Okay? 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. Alright, now these are called cube roots. Everyone say cube roots. Remember that story I told you guys before? The story before says this is a house, and inside the house is safe. To come outside of the house, there's a sign in that neighborhood that tells you how dangerous it is. In this neighborhood, it's getting really scary. You need 3 identical pairs or partners to come outside of the house. Well, here, 1 is 1 times 1 times 1. There's 3 of them. All 3 of them huddle up, right? They tippy-toe outside, and you have, from afar, it just looks like one number. Okay? Class, what is, we just did it, 8. If you broke it down into factors or prime factors, what would you get? 2 times 2 times 2. Are there 3 identical 2's there? Yeah. This step right here is to show you that these are opposites. They essentially kind of cancel there, and you have the 2 that's left. Okay. Class 27 is 3 times 3 times 3. Do you have 3 of them?
Yes.
So we have 3 to the third power. Remember, these are opposites. They cancel. We're just left with 3. The cube root of 64. Now, a lot of you, someone said 8, that's the square root. That's 2 identical numbers, 8 times 8. But if we look over here, you'll see that you can break them into 4's. And the reason why I have 4 times 4 times 4 is I need 3 identical numbers that equal 64. These will essentially cancel, so if I was doing a problem, I would do something like that. And you're left with just 4. And 125? 3 identical numbers here. That is a 5. Remember, if you have another number such as 4 inside there, that 4 stays inside, or a 2 or a 3, whatever it is. Let me show you guys how to get this onto your calculator. So let's say I'm doing this one right here. I'm going to type in 125. And I'm going to press the second on this button. Press 3. And the calculator has found for me 3 identical numbers that multiply to be 125. That number is 5.
Hey guys, Mr. Ng, your favorite math teacher here. I have a quote here. Coaches shouldn't have to push you to work hard. You should push yourself to work hard because you want to be a great player. This video is about the sum and difference of cubes and steps to factor sum and difference of cubes. These are just kind of like the practical steps that you would go through, so let's just go through those really quickly. First, you need to take the cube root and get the a and b value. Always, always, always write down the formula. Put in a substitution and then simplify. So what is the formula for sum and difference of cubes? Well, we have this acronym called SOAP, right? We're in this COVID-19, and so if you don't want to get the virus, what do you have to do? You use soap and wash your hands, okay? And where is SOAP? Well, here's the two formulas. I'm going to write on the screen here. This is the sum. Sum means plus. And notice how I start off with a plus, and S stands for same. So you start with the plus. O means opposite. So opposite of plus is a minus. And then AP stands for always positive. Okay. And then you basically do the same thing over here. So down here, this is called the difference. How do you know it's a difference? There's a subtraction sign. And difference, you same. So opposite, which is plus, and then always positive. Okay? All right, let's try some examples.
All right, so it says factor each binomial. By means how many? 2. 1, 2. Using the sum and difference of perfect cubes. Now, remember, all of this stuff, I'm not going to tell you on your quiz or test. So how do you know to do this specific part where you do sum and difference of cubes? Well, you count. There's 1, 2. Okay. Now, previously, you would have done something like this. Well, you're like, well, Mr. Ng, this looks like an A term. This looks like a C term. Some students would have done this. Right? If this was a quadratics. Do you guys remember that? But class, what is half of 3? 1.5. Is this 1.5? No. So you can't. No Xbox. Okay? We can't use Xbox. Hey, look up here. Higher degree polynomial. What's half of 4? 2. And you have 3 terms, A, B, and C. That means you can use Xbox. Okay? So in this problem, you can't use Xbox. You're going to have to use the sum and difference of cubes. So here's my steps. Let's take the cube root first. And when you take the cube root of each of these, you're basically trying to find 3 identical numbers. 3 identical numbers that multiply by itself 3 times to get this number. For example, what do you think the cube root of x cubed is? X. Because x times x times x gives us x cubed. What's the cube root of 27? 3. Now, let's see if we can do that with this calculator. I'm going to press math, and there I have a cube root number 4, and if I type in 27 and press enter, the answer is 3. If I use this Casio, which I've been super happy with, I see it right there. There's a square root button. That is the cube root. So I'm going to have to press in yellow, shift, square root button, because that gives me the yellow one, and then type in 27. 3 identical numbers that multiply to be 27 are 3. The numbers will get larger, so if you can't think of the numbers, you have a calculator. Okay, what does this tell me? My A value is equal to X, and my B value is equal to 3. So it says cube root, which we did, get A and B, which I have here. The A comes from what's inside parentheses, and the B value comes in the second set of parentheses. Now it tells me to write down the formula.
So let's write down the formula. Now you're asking which one? Well, this one has what? Plus or minus? Plus. So I'm going to write down this top one here. A cubed plus B cubed equals A plus B, A squared minus AB plus B squared. Again, you'll notice that you have a plus sign, so this is SOAP. Same, opposite, always positive. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do now is just my substitutions. So let's do the substitutions. And I'll use B for pink. And now I'll do my substitutions. Remember, in substitutions, you are using parentheses, super important. So there's my substitution. Every A value I'm putting in X, which is in yellow, and every B value I'm putting in a 3. So we did steps number 1, get the cube root, get A and B. Number 2, write down the formula. We just did our substitution, and lastly we're going to simplify. Let's go ahead and simplify that. We already know that x cubed, x to the third power is just x times x times x, which is to the third power. 3 to the third power is 27. Here my binomial is going to read just x plus 3. Here we have x squared, so that's just going to be x squared. X times 3 is 3x, and the opposite of that is going to be negative. And then 3 squared is going to be 9. So if I factor x cubed plus 27, my answer is x plus 3 times x squared minus 3x plus 9. So really, this one in the underline, that's your answer when you factor it. So the problem's going to look the same. Copy down that flow chart, super helpful to tell you which kind of factoring type of problem you're going to be doing. Factor each binomial. A binomial means 2. 1, 2. Using the sum and difference of perfect cubes formula. Now, you guys know that in this box right here, I'm not going to tell you that extra tip or clue. So all I'm going to tell you is to factor. So how do you know the difference of factoring? Well, normally you would have done something like this. On the previous page, I think you have it. Let me see. Yeah, on page 79, you had an example like this. This was also a binomial, but something you could do in this problem is add a 0. You now have a trinomial. You have A, B, and C, and class, what's half of 4? 2. Then you can use the X in the box method. Okay? But if you look at this problem, if I add a 0, I have a trinomial, A, B, and C. Class, what's half of 3? 1.5. Class is at 1.5. So this means you can't use Xbox. We have to use something else. So if I could take the cube root of each of these, then I can use the sum and difference of cubes. What is a cube root? A cube root means 3 identical.
something to the third power will equal x to the third. That is going to be x. Something to the third power will equal 8. That is 2. And the cube root of y to the third is going to be y. Now, let me show you the calculator commands because the problems will get larger. If you have a Casio, let's just say I want to find out the cube root of 8. I'm going to press on. The cube root is here in yellow, and it's usually next to the exponent button. Here's an exponent button, so right next to it should be the square root button. And here the cube root here is in yellow, so I'm going to have to press shift and then the cube root. And then you get an answer of 2. If you have a Texas Instrument, you have the cube root of an x. You have to press the 3 first, then the cube root has a little x in it, and then you would type in your number. Alright, so that's the first step, getting the cube root. The second step is to get a and b. So, this is your a value, and this is your b value. A is going to be x, and b is going to be 2y in this problem. The next thing I need to do is write down the formula. So which formula do I choose? Well, just look at the math operation. In this formula, you have a minus sign, and this one is a minus sign. So I'm going to write down this formula. A minus b, a squared, plus ab, plus b squared. Now, some of you guys have still been fighting me. Why do I have to write down the formula every single problem? Well, last period I got up and checked 2 students' papers, just the first 2, and the first 2 got it wrong is because they didn't write down the formula. It's as simple as that. After we write down the formula, what are we going to do next, class? We're going to do a substitution. A is x, and b value is 2y. Now pay attention in this problem, your b value is not negative. Class, can your b value be negative? No. Now, every substitution you're going to use, you should be using a parentheses. That was the second mistake students were making last period. My a value is x. My b value is 2y. My a value is x. My a value is x. My b value is 2y. And my b value is 2y. And this problem has squared. So I found the cube root, I find my a and b, I write down the formula, I'm going to do the substitution, now I'm going to simplify. I have x minus 2y, I don't need all those parentheses anymore. Class, what is x squared? X squared. X times 2y, they like to write the numbers first, so this is going to be a positive expression, then they write the letters alphabetical. And then 2y squared is what, class? 4y squared. Now, some students will ask, can I factor this one again by using Xbox method? This part here will be prime, and this will be your answer. So, find the cube root, a and b, write down your formula, substitute, and then simplify. This is the sum, and in this problem, this is actually the difference of cubes. Alright, in this problem, you should recognize it has a cube, so this is called a difference of cubes. What are you going to have to do in this problem? I would see if you get to the power of 3. Three identical numbers is 2x. 2x cubed would give me 8x cubed, and 125, that would be 5. These are my a and b values. To get my formula, it always is the same. A, B, A squared, AB, B squared. Now I'm going to use SOAP. Same math operation. Opposite, which is a plus, and then always positive. I'm going to do my substitutions. I have 2x minus 5. Pay attention here. This one's going to be 2x squared. A is 2x, B is 5, so 2x times 5 gives me 10x. And this one, b squared, is a 5. If I clean this up, my final answer is going to be 2x minus 5. 2x squared is going to be 4x squared. And 5 squared is 25. So in this problem, it is a difference of cubes. Get your a and b value, write down your formula, and substitute in SOAP. Number 34. A value.
It's
X.
3, and then
B value.
4 parentheses.
4y. Okay. So now I use my formula.
8 plus b.
AB, a squared, AB, b squared. I'm going to use SOAP. Same, opposite, always positive. I'm going to do my substitution. X plus 4y. Now pay attention here. This one is x squared minus a times b is 4xy. And your b value is going to be 4y squared. So if you simplify that, I have x plus 4y, x squared minus 4xy, and then this one's going to be 16y squared. Raise your hand if you got that. Oh, sorry, I wasn't focused. Apologize. Alright, for question number 5, let's do number 5. But let me read the directions. Factor each binomial by means 2 using the sum and difference of perfect cubes formula. Remember, everything that I'm squiggling, you won't have those hints. On your next test next week, it'll just tell you to factor. So your hint is a binomial. Now, on the next page, there are binomials. Take a look at this binomial that you already did on page 79. Here's a binomial. 1, 2. There's 2 terms, and you have an A and you have a C, and what we did is we added a 0x, and then half of 10 is what? 5, and you have A, B, and C, and then half of this number, so you can use your Xbox method to factor, okay? Pay attention now. But in our problem, for question number 5, if you add a 0x, class, what's half of 3? $1.50, right? Does that say $1.50? No. So this says, that basically means no, you can't use Xbox. What you're going to have to use here is the sum and difference of cubes. So let's just follow the steps that we wrote down. Step number 1, we need to take the cube root, get A and B. So let's find the cube root. So we don't need this part. That's just to help you explain it. Okay, this is the first time that we've ever discussed what a cube root is. It is a square root, or a radical sign. But previously, if we had no number there, that's called the index, we normally had said it was a power of 2. Now it's a power of 3. What does that mean? I'm trying to find 3 identical numbers that multiply to be 343x to the third. Now let me show you one version of a calculator. Some of you can put that in your head and figure it out. For me, I'm going to open my calculator. And on this Casio, the cube root is here in yellow. It's normally near the square root button or an exponent button. Okay, so I'm going to press on. Mine is in yellow, so I have to press shift first, and then that button. And there you have the cube root. I can type in 343, press enter, and get an answer of 7. What does that mean? You can do 7 to the third power, and you'll get 343. So my A value is 7x. Right? 7x times 7x will give you 49x squared, times 7x will give you 343x cubed. Now the cube root of 1 is just 1. 3 identical numbers that multiply to be 1, the answer is just 1. You can even put that on your calculator. And then this is your A and this is your B value. That was step number 1. Get the cube root and get A and B. Step number 2 is write down the formula. So which formula do I use? Well, I see a minus sign in the original problem. Let me point this out. Put a big minus sign. And so then you're looking at the formula above that has a minus sign. So let's look at it. Put your finger on the one that has a minus sign. Right here. So this is the formula I need to write down. Let's write it down. A minus B, A squared plus AB plus B squared. And let me show you guys, as this is your first problem of the day, why the acronym SOAP is there. Same, opposite, so same, opposite, always positive. Okay? So we took the cube root, got A and B, we wrote down the formula here, now we're going to do a substitution. Every A value is going to be 7x. Okay, pay attention here. Every B value is positive 1. This negative sign, you don't need to do anything. Okay? Okay. So A value is 7x and our B value is 1. Now, be careful that you're doing these substitutions in parentheses. Everyone say parentheses? Extra parentheses. Watch. A is 7x, the minus sign. The B value is 1. Then I'm just going to copy down this parentheses. My substitution for A is going to be 7x. And I'm just copying the power of 2. And then I have a plus sign. My A value is 7x, parentheses. B value is 1. And my B value is 1. I just did my substitutions. And then in the last step, we just need to simplify. So let's simplify. I don't need the parentheses here or here, so I just have 7x minus 1. Here, this means 7x times 7x, which is what class? 49x squared. 7x times 1 is 7x. It's positive. And 1 times 1 is just 1. So my answer, how do I factor 343x to the third minus 1? I put it into my formula, and that's our answer.
I love math. You don't love math? What's wrong with you? I love math.
What's the first thing we need to do, Sebastian?
Find the cube root.
Go ahead and tell us the cube root.
So for the first one, we got 6x. And the second one is 5y.
Raise your hand if you got that. Good job. Basil, what's next?
After finding the cube root, you write down the
Tell us the formula.
formula for that one would be a cubed plus b cubed equals parentheses a plus b parentheses a2 minus ab plus b2.
Minus AB
Yeah.
plus B squared. So this is plus. So this tells you about soap. Same. Opposite of this. And then always positive. Let's do our substitutions. My A is going to be 6x. My B value is going to be 5y. Tell us about our substitutions, Ariel.
It's 6x plus 5y plus parentheses 6x minus
Well, this, you're also going to have it what? Minus
6x and 5y plus 5y.
Let's go ahead and simplify that. Nicole? Good. Good.
Plus 25y.
Good. Six x plus 5y times 36x squared minus 36xy, sorry, minus 30xy plus 25y squared. And that's your answer. Raise your hand if you got that.
Missing formulas in life? Problems becoming too difficult to clear? Well then, you need Mr. Math Cleaning Solution. Just spray the liquid formula onto the mess, then wipe it clear, and enjoy the result. Mr. Math. Stay clean and calculated. Order now at www.gpproductions.com and get an additional